Next up, when harvest is over and the cold starts coming in, many farmers start sowing their seeds for winter. Wheat may be the more popular choice, but UNL professor Dr. Stephen Baenziger believes that winter barley can be just as profitable. While there are similarities in benefits and needs, Dr. Baenziger believes that there are key differences that make the decision easier. Here's Market Journal's Maddie McIntosh with the story.
Well, barley is one of the most multi-purpose crops that's available to humankind. In the Great Plains, everybody knows barley can be used to make beer. But if you don't use it for malted products like beverages, you can also use it in food items. Many food items have malt in it. It's also used as a feed grain, and that's what's fed to animals because it's very good for nutrition. It's also used as a forage, so you can hay barley, you can graze barley. And then the last use is you use the hulless barleys in soups. So you have the barley beef soup, things like that. So it's a food grain also.
When putting barley into a crop rotation, planting it in the winter rather than the spring can be an advantage for many farmers. However, there are a few things to watch out for during the colder months.
The main advantage of winter barley is that you can plant it in the fall when it's usually easier to plant. We tend to be drier in the fall, so farmers can get into the ground quickly and more easily. The other advantage is it tends to be higher yielding because if you think, we go through a winter and if you're already planted, you've already got the plant growing, when it warms up in the spring, you have a huge head start on the spring barleys. The spring barleys have the advantage in that the major difficulty with winter barley is winter killing. So you don't have to worry about the winter killing your barley. So that's one advantage of spring barleys. The biggest disadvantage is, can you get it in on time? Because the fields are often wet, they have to dry out. And then because they get in later, you often get into the hotter part of the season, so you'll see more shriveled seed and that'll hurt your yields. Historically, the winter barley has higher yields than the spring barley. Well, the number one thing that I always worry about is barley's actually pretty winter hardy, but it breaks dormancy pretty easily. So what you have to worry about is when you have a warm spell in the middle of winter and the barley starts to grow, then it freezes back down again, and now you've got it so that it's used up its reserves, and all of it's going to be wasted because the crop was frozen.
For producers looking to include barley in their rotations, new equipment may not be needed as there is little difference between barley and wheat when it comes to planting.
Well, the equipment will be the same, okay, but most farmers that have equipment use it for multiple crops. So a lot of them really modern seeders like air seeders and whatnot, they can handle multiple different crops. The biggest difference between wheat and barley is that in both crops I recommend seed treatments because it's inexpensive insurance, but for barley I think it's almost a necessity. Barley is much more susceptible to head smut than is wheat, and to me, if you're going to grow barley, I highly recommend that when you plant it, you use a seed treatment on that seed in the same type of seeder that you're going to use for your winter wheat. You're going to harvest it with the same combines. You'll change your settings, of course, but you'll use all the same equipment. So if you're going to plant a winter wheat, a winter barley, or even a winter triticale, all the equipment's the same.
Due to its planting time, barley is not affected by many diseases. In fact, many of the diseases found in wheat don't make an appearance in barley at all.
Barley is really unique in that many of the diseases that affect other small grains like wheat we call it escapes. It's a little bit earlier, so it misses the time when the infection occurs. So the only diseases that I really see in barley are the smut, the head smut, and then there's an aphid transmitted virus called barley yellow dwarf virus, which if you ever have aphids, you will find in barley. But again, that's relatively rare. We have a fair amount, but we don't have the long springs that say Oklahoma has where it's much more severe. And the smut is easily treated with almost any of the seed treatments. Other than that, the other diseases, leaf rust we rarely see, stem rust, only if the crop is really delayed. Stripe rust I've never seen. So it's a very good disease package, mainly because the crop is early and misses the infection.
If you're looking to introduce barley into your own rotation, Stephen says to check with your local Extension Education office for more information. Reporting for Market Journal, I'm Maddie McIntosh.